Hi there, and welcome to 100 Days of Discipleship. We have barely, few days till this ends. So if you have some days uh, to make up and to be up to date, you want to make sure that you get serious as soon as possible, because very soon I'll be out of your face. And there are many reasons why I'm excited about that, and there are many reasons I'm sad about that. But nonetheless, I'm just letting you know that we are moving and we don't have much time. I want to address something. I never really thought it was worth addressing but I mean, I'll tell you why I never thought it was worth addressing. But I kept seeing it in the comments. Pastor, please address this. Does God kill? Does God kill? And the reason I didn't think it's worth addressing is because there's some questions that people ask you, and you respond like God in Genesis chapter 3. Who told you God does not kill? Have you? There's some questions that reveal maybe a more fundamental problem. With due respect, it just reveals that you have received some information that, in my honest estimation, might have taken you back in some aspects of simple biblical development. And this is what I mean. There are three major problems with thinking God does not kill. Number one, you're going to have a changed framework, hermeneutical framework. And what I mean is, of course, hermeneutics is the science of Bible interpretation. And for you to be able to say God does not kill, it means the way you see the Bible and read the Bible from Genesis to Revelation has changed. It means you have allegorized, or you have seen a deeper meaning to everything that is plainly said in the Bible. Everything. And so you see people who say God does not kill try to explain away some clear things in the Bible. Noah, the flood, even New Testament incidences. I think it was about 9 years ago, the one that was very ridiculous to me. Someone said that Ananias and Sapphira, they died because they were afraid, that it was not God. Do you understand? You know. And I think it doesn't get more ridiculous than that. I mean, that's what I felt at the time, and that's what I feel now. Anyone who reads the text honestly will not wind up with such a flimsy conclusion, because in quick succession, the first spouse came in, and upon the words of Peter, fell down dead. They carried the corpse out. The second spouse came in, and Peter said, now, the people who carried your spouse are at the door, and they're going to carry you too. And fell down. Friends, that's judgment. It's clear. It's clear. And you see, God doesn't need PR agents to try and clean up the Bible and make it more palatable. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you are judging God like he's a man. It reminds me of something that happened, was it last year or 2 years ago? I had seen my daughter writing on her book. And I said, no, don't deface your book like that. I must not see you deface your book like that. And so, much later, she came into my office and saw me studying my books. And the way I study my books, in fact, I mean it on every page. That's the way I read, because it's my book and I can run through it and all of that. So, oh my God, children are very smart. When she came to the office and saw me do that, she said, you said I shouldn't deface my book, but you're defacing your book. And I said, I bought your book for you, so I get to tell you what you must do with it. But you did not buy my book for me. So you don't get to tell me what to do with it. And that is the same thing that applies when it comes to life. When people say things like, how can God, who tells us not to kill, that killing is a sin and killing is murder, how can God kill? And I think that's ridiculous. You know what the Bible says? I want to read a text to you. Very simple text. Jesus said, do not swear at all. Don't swear by your head, because you cannot make one hair white or black. There are some things that are off limits because you are not the creator. The reason you cannot do that is because you cannot make hair white or black. You did not create hair. You therefore cannot swear by your head. But guess what the Bible says in Hebrews chapter 9? It says, because God could swear by none other, swore by himself, saying, in blessing I will bless you. It's one of the examples. Newsflash, there is God and you're not him. There are things that are off limits for you, but not off limit for God. And you have to understand it's a different standpoint. When we are talking about death, we are seeing it from a different standpoint and perspective as God. God, literally, the Bible says he kills and he makes alive. So because he can make alive, death is not devastating. Because he gave life, he can take it. You didn't give life, so you cannot take it. The reason you'll be a murderer is because you didn't give life. The reason you'll be a murderer is because you cannot restore life. It's totally different. So that's one fundamental issue. The people who flimsy, excuse that if God kills, therefore is a murderer. That's a lie from the pit of hell. It's just not true. It's just not true. It's just not true. All right? The second problem, like I said, there's just so many texts you have to explain away. When I was trying to talk to a pastor about this as far back as 9 years ago, we're going through the scriptures and it was taking time. I said, okay, one more text, because they would usually say that Jesus is the, perfect image of God. Anything you believe God can do, look at Jesus. And, they will usually say, did Jesus kill anybody? Because he came to seek and save the lost. His assignment in the incarnation was different. But that being said, I asked a question. I said, when Jesus said, remember Lot's wife, what was he asking you to remember? When Jesus said, that was a clear warning, remember Lot's wife. If he had a different hermeneutical perspective to what happened to Lot's wife, he wouldn't say that. Just imagine, some people even say ridiculous things like, when Elijah called down fire, it was the devil that answered him. You see, one bad interpretation will lead to many other worse interpretations. Do you know the grave implication of suggesting that a prophet in the Old Testament was working with satanic powers? It doesn't matter how you put it, that because he was ignorant, his requests, the devil took advantage of his requests to harm men. You're messing the entire Bible up. I can tell you one thing for sure. It will lead to even more error. People who have the satanic yin-yang perspective that good and evil are just different sides of the same coin. It will lead to more trouble. It's precedence for more trouble. My suggestion is take the Bible as it is. Okay? So like I said, there are three issues I have with people who say God does not kill. Number one, a different hermeneutical perspective. Number two, an overly simplistic understanding of the implication of God killing. Saying, oh, therefore he's a murderer. No. It's just like saying the same police that will arrest you for murder cannot kill. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you kill, you will be arrested. But the same police that arrests, in some certain circumstances, they have the legality and the authority to pull the trigger. To pull the trigger. You see, there are so many aspects to which I can handle this. This reminds me, years ago I was talking to someone else and I asked a simple question. You see, let me say this. Some people are not as deep as they think, because a good theologian will think deeply about the implications of his position. And I'll give you one aspect. If you say God doesn't kill, take out your placards, go on the streets, and pressure the government to drop the guns that they have with policemen. Because to think that all forms of killing will be murder, and even God does not kill, but think that somehow it is okay for police to kill, but not okay for God to kill. Your perspective is lopsided. Go and protest. We must put down all the guns so that wicked people will deal with us very well. Because some people, they really think. There's some debates we will not have if you think deeply. If you just think deeply. God does not kill, but you can. God does not kill, but police can. The third and biggest issue for me with the God does not kill perspective is the damage to eschatology. And eschatology is the study of end times. How will the world end? Where is the world going according to biblical prophecy? You have to understand the major doctrinal framework for proving that there is judgment at the end is that there has been judgment in the past. Interestingly, because I saw doctrinal trends, I preached on this Reboot Camp 2015. When I preached on it, the church was confused. They didn't know why I was teaching. So there are some things I just teach in the future. Then it was still called Christ Celebration Convocation. I preached it for the future. I knew they won't understand. Just like some sermons I've preached now that you will get in 10 years' time. I take that again. The doctrinal framework for your conviction that there will be judgment at the end is that there is judgment in the past. So, when the Bible wants to assure you that God is not slack, and everyone who is walking disorderly and deceiving the church of Jesus Christ, killing people, and doing all manner of egregious things, that all such people will be judged, the consolation and the conviction that God gives you is the things he has done in the past. And so when the Bible tells you in the book of Jude that the judgment of certain people is surely coming, he now begins to tell you the things that God has done in the past, starting from fallen angels. He says that the angels that kept not their first estate. I wish I could read. See, read the whole of the book of Jude and read 2 Peter chapter 2, the whole of it. So in 2 Peter chapter 2, from verse 4, it says, "For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, and did not spare the ancient world," I'm just reading, paraphrasing, "bringing in the flood on the world of the ungodly, making them an example to those who afterward will live ungodly." He's telling you, God judged in that way to make those people an example to those who afterward will live ungodly. This text is a double-edged sword. Number one, it breaks the back of the argument that there's some deeper perspective to what happened, with the flood in the Old Testament. Maybe we say the New Testament explains the Old. Well, it tells you that flood was God. God making an example. And then secondly, he tells you that judgment of God in the past is the conviction that there will be judgment in the future. And so this position attacks hermeneutics, it attacks eschatology. It's just bad on many levels. It says if God did not spare. This is the argument of the apostle. If God did not spare in the past, he's making an example to those who afterwards will live ungodly. In Jude verses 47, it says, "Ungodly men who turn the grace of God into lewdness are marked for condemnation." It says, "Sodom and Gomorrah are set forth as an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire." It says they are set forth as an example. So there are some positions that to hold it, you have to close your eye to too many texts. Too many texts from beginning to end. Please get this argument. In fact, there are some things I even thought before, but upon careful observation, even my perspective of that has changed. I'll give you a simple example. When the Bible says that the sons of thunder, the two disciples of Jesus, were telling Jesus to call down fire to destroy a city because they won't allow him preach. The Bible says Jesus rebuked them and he says, "Yeah, you don't know what spirit you are of. The Son of Man did not come to destroy the world, but that people through him might be saved." Friends, that's context. That's in the context of evangelism. You don't go as an evangelist and because they didn't accept you, you kill. That is a totally different interpretation technique from when a witch has killed 7 of your family members. It's a totally different, but I don't, you see, this one is an argument for another day. But to use this text, there's a witch ravaging your family, and you're using that as proof text, you have not suffered enough. Maybe when you see, there are some things you will see as a pastor. You will go back to the Bible that, come, make I read this thing well. It's like there's something here. All right. But like I said, that's a conversation for another day. Believers' authority, maybe next year, 2 years' time, we'll come back to this matter. But for now, please dead that argument. I hope this blessed you. This is 100 Days of Discipleship, day 92. And please like this video. I'm going. You see, I don't know if it is holy to pretend I'm not excited. We're about to hit 200k subscribers. Forgive my spiritual immaturity. I'm actually very giddy. So help the ministry. At least pay. Just subscribe. Do you understand? And like the video so that more people can see it. Send this link to a few people who might have had this question, by the way. And God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.